What is up, Endgame community? I'm Pierre, he's Chris. We're going to give you our favorite boom picks for week 17. These are the guys that could win you your week and lead you to that fantasy championship that we want you to get. All right, so let's start off with your first pick, Chris. Who you think might be a guy that can go off?
I'm going to give you a guy who I never thought I would be saying will win you a championship in week 17, but I think Damien Harris is going to win people championships in week 17. I mean, he got you here last week if you started him. 18 carries, 103 yards, 3 touchdowns against a tough Bills defense. Now he gets a Jacksonville defense that's allowing the 9th most yards to running backs and the 4th most touchdowns to running backs. And sure, there's a chance Ramondre Stevenson comes back this week, but you know what? I don't care. He's the lead guy. He's going to get enough opportunities. He's going to have chances to score in this matchup in a game that New England should be winning easily. Lots of opportunities for Damien Harris. I think he has another big game in week 17 and helps you win that championship.
I've been telling you all year, and look, I get it. He doesn't catch passes, but he's the exception, right? It doesn't matter. He's such a beast. I mean, the touchdown upside is always there. So absolutely. I hope he does lead some teams to the championship, including mine. I got him several places. All right, so this one here, let's start with a softball. This is too easy, but running back versus Jets. All right, so who is it this week? It's going to be Ronald Jones. Now, Ronald Jones, we know is going to be the lead back because, of course, Leonard Fournette is out. He was okay last week, right? He got 65 yards, did get a touchdown. Now, some people might look and say, wait a minute, Keyshawn Vaughn got more rushing yards than Ronald Jones, and then start worrying, and then start, finding excuses to hate on Ronald Jones again. Keyshawn Vaughn had that one long run, right? Give him credit, but Ronald Jones did have the majority of carries. This is still his backfield, and you know what? There's room for both. I think both these guys could be started, honestly, because it's the Jets, but Ronald Jones should have an easy path to 100 yards. You've got to start him, no questions asked, and he could be a guy who now jumps into top 5 running back territory as far as fantasy production. It's a chalk pick, I know, but it's a chalk that you have to rely on. All right, let's keep going. Give me another boom that you like.
Well, who plays Baltimore this week? The Rams play Baltimore this week. So that means Cooper Kupp is going to boom. But obviously, we all know that. But you know who else is going to boom? Odell Beckham. Looks like he's the clear number 2 there in LA. Had 8 targets last week, which was second only to Cooper Kupp's 13. What just happened last week in this Baltimore defense? They gave up 525 yards and 4 touchdowns to Joe Burrow. Every Bengals receiver went off. There's plenty of room here for Odell Beckham. Sure, Cooper Kupp might have one of the biggest fantasy weeks we've ever seen, but Odell Beckham is going to have a very big fantasy week as well. So if you've been running him out as a wide receiver 3 type guy, I think he's an absolute must start this week. There's not a lot of guys I'd feel better about than Odell Beckham. Gonna boom this week, so make sure he's in your lineup everywhere you have him.
Yeah, this could be his best game as a Ram for sure. You've got to start him. All right, so I talked about Ronald Jones against the Jets. On the other side of that matchup, the Jets have Michael Carter, who's looking like an explosive rookie running back that we had hoped for. And so he had a nice game last week, 118 yards in the ground. He's someone that you feel like, yeah, you've got to start him. I do like him this week, but not for the reason you think, because Tampa Bay, this is a tough run defense. You think, well, the Jets might have a tough time running the ball, and I think that's actually true. But here's the thing, the Tampa Bay defense gives up the 2nd most receptions to running backs. And we know Carter is a good pass catcher. He's a guy who already has a game with 9 and 8 catches. And his best fantasy game, his first kind of coming out as a fantasy stud, was a few weeks ago, and it wasn't because of his work on the ground, it was as a receiver. And so I think this is a game where even if Carter struggles on the ground, he's gonna get his as a pass catcher. I still think you've got to plug him in, and in PPR leagues, he absolutely could have a top 10 finish, even in a tough matchup. So rely on Carter, the Jets are going to. All right, let's keep it going. Chris, another guy you think has a path to stardom in week 17.
It's finally Rashad Penny's time, right? It's 4 years we've been waiting for this, and thankfully it's here, and thankfully it's here when it matters most in the fantasy playoffs and the fantasy championship. You may not know this, but in 2 of the last 3 games, he's rushed for over 130 yards, and he's got 3 touchdowns in those 3 games. Now he gets a Detroit defense giving up the 6th most rushing yards and the 10th most touchdowns to running backs. He's clearly the guy there. Pete Carroll likes Rashad Penny We know Seattle likes running the football, and against Detroit, they should have no problem doing that. So if you picked up Rashad Penny as, you know, a kind of a waiver wire desperation stash a few weeks ago, and you've been riding him in the playoffs, you can ride him one more week in your championship because you should have a monster game here in week 17 against Detroit.
Yeah, honestly, the only concern at this point with Penny is just stay healthy. Like, please make it through the game. That one game sandwich in between his monster games is because he got banged up. So just stay on the field, and yes, you will smash. So you know who else is going to smash? Nick Chubb. This seems obvious, right? But this Pittsburgh defense, I don't think we have really come to realize how bad it has been against the run specifically. Over the last 4 weeks, the Steelers have been the worst defense against running backs, allowing 5.35 yards per carry. Okay, so we know what Chubb can do. Some people might say, well, this is gonna be a low scoring game. It's possible. Oh, Kareem Hunt might come back. That's true. Doesn't matter. This is a game where you might see both running backs go for over 100 yards. Chubb is not just a must start at this point. I think he is going to be a top 3 running back in week 17. So again, you talk about chalk. I like Ronald Jones. I like Nick Chubb. Those are the 2 guys I'm plugging into my DFS lineups everywhere I can, and I'm gonna ride them, hopefully, to victory. All right, let's keep going. One more boom pick.
Yeah, it's not very often a quarterback wins a week, but Joe Burrow, if you had him, won you your week last week. And Matt Stafford is going to win you your week this week because he gets that juicy Baltimore matchup. They're one of the worst passing defenses in the second half of the season because they're missing pretty much everybody in the secondary, and they just lost another one of their corners in that week 16 game. I know Matt Stafford let you down in week 16, had a terrible game, 3 interceptions. You're nervous about trusting him. Don't be nervous. He's going to rebound in a big way. We know the Rams want to throw the ball. That's what they want to do. They're going to have no trouble throwing the ball against this Baltimore secondary. Matthew Stafford is going to have a monster week 17, and he could also be a quarterback who wins weeks this week.
Absolutely agree with you there. That's a stack to have, right? Stafford and OBJ. Now, the quarterback that you've been riding most season and you think could win you your week, but some people are going to be nervous about Justin Herbert because last week was an absolute smash spot against Houston, and what happened? Just total letdown. Herbert didn't have a great game. What's going to happen against Denver? That's a tougher defense by far. Well, here's the thing. I'm not too worried because, first of all, when they played Denver last time, a couple weeks ago, he went for 303 yards and 2 touchdowns. He didn't have too many problems with that defense. And you know what? Austin Eckler should be back. Mike Williams probably won't be back, but it's okay because Justin Herbert has found other weapons. Josh Palmer stepping up. Keenan Allen is still there. Justin Herbert also has some upside with his legs. I think you cannot be worried about Herbert based on last week and whatever's going on with that Chargers team. I think he's a solid start, top 10 quarterback for sure, and I think he could boom, maybe have an even better game than people expect. All right, those are guys that we like for week 17. Let us know what you think. Guys, join the conversation with us on Discord. There's all sorts of other ways that we can help you win besides just these videos, so check out the information in the description below. All right, good luck.